Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy.
Bryce Underwood committed to LSU, the number one player in the class of 2025, the number one quarterback in the class of 2025. It was a race between LSU and Michigan, the home state school, and it appears the Tigers have won out for the time being. I'm well aware of how things can change in recruiting, but feels like LSU's done a great job of laying the foundation and building a relationship, and they've secured his commitment for the time being, and I think that's a great thing. Recruiting is not what it was 5 years ago because of the transfer portal, and I think we all have a good understanding of that. We all know what happens to college football players over time. You're going to sign a class, in LSU's case, of 30 this year or so, and do we think 20 of those guys will play 4 years at LSU? I don't. It's possible, but you don't know. So as I go into this segment and talk about what I think it means for LSU's football program, keep in mind, I'm well aware of how this thing works. Somebody could throw a huge NIL deal at him between now and signing day, and he could not end up at LSU. He could go to LSU for 1 year and bolt. He may start 3 seasons at LSU. He may never start a game. I'm well aware of how this thing works, but I do understand that securing a commitment from the number one player in the country who happens to be a quarterback is a huge deal. And if this thing works out like you hope, you've got your Trevor Lawrence. You've got your Bryce Young or Tua Tagovailoa. Guys that were hot shot, 5-star, multi-year recruiting battle wins that quickly became a starting quarterback and led you to high highs. Tua won a championship. Trevor Lawrence won a championship. Bryce Young won a Heisman Trophy and was excellent in his time as the quarterback at Alabama. And that's what you hope you have. Because if you get that guy at LSU with the amount of talent you're going to put around him, we've seen what these offenses can look like in 19 and then again in 2023. And that's what you think you have at the most important position in the sport. Now, I can point to other number one quarterbacks in the country. Jeff Driscoll going to Florida. How about Tate Martell, who was a 5-star once upon a time? I think he played for 11 colleges. Kyle Allen was the number one quarterback in the country when he signed with Texas A&M. Jarrett Stidham was the number one quarterback in the country, went to Baylor, then to Auburn. So it doesn't always work out. There's no guarantee. But everyone who scouts Bryce Underwood suggests that this guy is awesome. And I'm not going to use the term generational talent because he's not a generational talent. There will be multiple quarterbacks in the next 10 years that play football like Bryce Underwood. I'm confident. But I think he's awesome. And the comp, when I look at the tape, and again, nobody's paying me to be their general manager in the NFL or to be a recruiting coordinator at the college football level. I just grab a microphone at 1 o'clock. When I look at the tape and I see the arm strength and the athleticism, ability to run, the build, and the accolades, it looks Trevor Lawrence-ish to me. Long, rangy, good athlete, big arm, accurate, wins a lot of games. All these are attributes that Trevor Lawrence had prior to getting to Clemson. And we know that he sat for about half a season and then made his push. And they ended up being a championship team under him and played for it the next year against LSU. Of course, he was the number one pick in the draft and is doing pretty well in the NFL. That's kind of what this feels like. And if you look at LSU and you see what Garrett Nussmeier did in the bowl game, the fact that he's got 2 years left that he can play. Bryce Underwood will play one of those in high school and then will be on campus for the next year. That transition looks natural, and I don't mean to slight Ricky Collins or to slight didn't come to me. Quarterback in this class, Colin Hurley. Every once in a while, you're sitting there doing 10 hours a week of live radio, and the name just leaves your head. But I don't mean to slight those two guys, but the timeline kind of works out for Nussmeier to do this for a couple of years and for Underwood to take the reins. There are a million hurdles between now and that first snap for Underwood. that have to be cleared. But this is a big deal. And while there are a lot of factors in the world of recruiting that influence decisions one way or another, LSU looks pretty attractive right now on the recruiting trail when you think about Bryce Underwood, you think about the number one running back in the country in Harlem Berry, who committed last week, and you've got a commitment from the number one wide receiver in the country. And all of a sudden you start to look at that as a high school player and the guys that are headed that way, LSU starts to look pretty attractive. And LSU went to New Orleans to get one, went to Dallas to get another, and went to Michigan to get another one. So hat tip to Brian Kelly, to Joe Sloan, to Frank Wilson, to the entire LSU organization for moving this thing in the right direction. And that's a big, big deal to get the commitment from the number one quarterback in the country. LSU has not done that since Ryan Perrilloux. And again, that's another way these things can play out. But big, big, big deal for LSU over the weekend. And there's reason for a lot of optimism offensively. There are a lot of things they got to work on and fix on the defensive side of the football in this football program. But this is a big deal for LSU football and should be definitely celebrated, and celebrate a little bit more when the ink dries on National Signing Day coming up in a year. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.